Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 for Google Sheets. Now, before we get started, I know what you're all thinking. I know you're feeling like Sheets suck. Sheets are difficult, they're confusing, they're full of data. Sheets are not the dark side. Sheets save my life every day because it lets me gather, organize information in seconds without having to cut and paste and type. So we're going to turn off the dark side. We're going to do Google Sheets, and you're going to see how really it's just by using some simple formulas and some simple tips and tricks where you now have information at your fingertips in seconds without having to sort through emails and cut and paste things or type things off of sheets of paper. And so what we're going to focus on is sort of 2 areas of using Sheets today. I'm going to start off by showing you some basics and pointing you in the direction of some tips and tricks of just how to do some basic formulas and functions within a sheet. The next thing we're going to do is look at how we can use Sheets as organizational and teacher time savers. Things like figuring out signups for things like junior high options or sessions or any of that information we need to do, as well as analyzing student data from assessments. Then the third thing we're going to look at is some fun. Sheets are fun, and I'm going to show you some really amazing classroom activities and strategies where kids are using Sheets, creating Sheets, and having a lot of fun with these different lessons that we can put together. So that's our plan today. So make sure that you've got yourself a Chrome browser, that you're logged into Chrome, and we're going to get started with some Sheets. All of the resources that I'm talking about and showing you today are all attached below this video right here on this webpage so that you can see it. And so we're going to kick off our Sheets by looking at yesterday's forms, because the first thing, if you walk away with anything today, the pro tip from Trish is that forms fill your sheets. Instead of you typing and putting in all of that information or cutting and pasting from emails, let people do the work for you. Simply put together a Google form and let people fill that out. And so it's really handy when you want that quick information. Now, yesterday we did Google Forms and I wanted to know who wants to win. So today I'm going to show you how I can launch a spreadsheet and we're going to look at who wants to win. Here we go. So switch here. So yesterday I made this form, who wants to win, and 28 of you I can see filled that out. It was collecting your email addresses. I asked for your names, your favorite Google tools, and if you thought may Google be with you has been totally lame-o or out of this world. And so a couple of things to note is that under the responses in a form, I can see a really quick summary of each one of those questions. This works great if you don't have too many respondents because I can sort through and look at those different pieces. And thanks for being kind about may Google be with you. I can also, in responses, look at individual responses. This means I'm clicking through each individual response. And please note that this is also how you can print responses. So if this was a student examination, you still need to have that printed off. Maybe you want to send it home to get it signed. This is how you do that. But I want all of this information in one place so that I can use it. So what I'm going to do is every single Google form has this very super cool green button where it's saying, would you like to create a spreadsheet? Now I'm going to go ahead and turn off these responses because we're no longer accepting responses for this form, and I'm going to create a new spreadsheet for our prizes. Now beyond just being able to draw for prizes, this sheet can give me some information. A couple of things to note. Every time you fill out a Google form, it is time-stamped with the exact day and time that you filled it out. I had email address collection setting turned on. This is really handy to do if you want to be able to contact participants. And it's easier to have email collection settings turned on than to simply let people type their email addresses because let's face it, we all make typos. So this way you get the for sure Google account email address associated with that person. People have their first and last names. And of course, I can start to see what the favorite tool, I can get some bigger data there, and the rating scale of how people thought this was. So for me, I can simply take all of these names and I'm going to be able to put it into a random name picker, which I'm going to show you right away pretty soon because I want to show you a super fun tool, and I'm going to be able to see who has won. But that's how easy it is to launch a sheet. Now, I turned off accepting any more responses just because I don't want people to feel bad if they're watching this later still trying to enter into a contest. But now that I launched that Google Sheet, if I hadn't turned off form responses, if it was still open, that sheet is going to continue to populate as long as people fill out that form. So it's live data. I don't have to wait till the end. So let me show you what that looked like with my hour of code. So we run hour of code every December here in Edmonton Catholic Schools, and we just had over 27,000 participants as part of hour of code. That would be a lot of emails for me to sort through if people had to email me every time they wanted to register, plus how many kids and if they're new to hour of code or not. So what I was able to have is an instantly filled out spreadsheet, so that now if somebody asks me for a report on how many schools, what grade levels were they, who was new, I can generate that in seconds. So you can see here how I've got timestamp responses, the lead contact, people were able to select their school, put the number of students participating, you name it. I have it all organized into here because of my form responses. So let's look at a spreadsheet that's a little bit smaller for some practice. Now, what I've created for you is some Sheets Geek practice. This spreadsheet is actually linked for you at the bottom of this video so you can try some of these different features along with me. On the tabs across the bottom are different sheets. And you can see one of the first ones I have for you here is how to format a sheet. And so there's some things we can do to be able to go through and do a little bit of formatting inside of our Google Sheet. So I can do things like color code and rename tabs. If I click the arrow on the tab, I can see that I can rename it, and I can also see that I can change the color. This is really great to be able to keep track of things like assessments, different formulas, different data. The other thing I can do is I can use the Awesome box and I can freeze rows and change sizes of things. The Awesome box is this lovely little tiny gray box just between the A column and the number 1 row. What that does is it actually selects your entire spreadsheet when you click that box. So for example, if I wanted to change the size of a cell like this, it will automatically change the entire spreadsheet to be able to match that without me having to go through and format each one of them. The other thing that I can do is I can freeze rows. So for example, when you're scrolling, I can see how everything sort of moves along. But what if I didn't want those titles to be able to move? Well, if I hover over top the Awesome box, I see a little blue line and a little white glove. Very Michael Jackson of us right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag. What I just did was I froze the top row. So now when I scroll, my heading stays there. I could do the exact same thing for a column if I wanted. Hover till you see the little glove and click and drag. So now no matter where I scroll, those do not disappear. To unfreeze them, you just do the opposite of how you froze it. Just simply drag it back into place, and now those columns are no longer frozen. Super handy to be able to change some things. Now, also see here where I type a list of 5 names, and it's sort of cut off. And normally what we do is we just drag over our cells so it's a little bit bigger. Well, if you ever have a really long sentence, that can be quite annoying because you don't want it to be going on forever and ever across your sheet. What you can do is something I like to call middle, middle, middle. So right here, I can say everything in row number 1. I'm going to come over here to horizontal align. I'm going to center it. I'm going to come over here to vertical align. I'm going to center it. You can see it's the middle button. And I'm going to go right here to text wrapping, and you guessed it, choose the middle one. Do you see why I call it middle, middle, middle? I'm going to wrap it. Now what I have is I have a very nicely fit size of text box where it doesn't have to go all the way across my page, and I can still see that. So it's really handy to be able to make your sheets look good once you have some data in it. And that's what I did with the Hour of Code sheet. You can see that I color-coded my headers. I did middle, middle, middle on some of these longer sentences. And now I can visually see my sheet is nice and organized while I'm waiting for those form responses. Another thing I want to talk to you about is some formulas. Formulas can get pretty scary. And so you can see here we did a little Christmas time fun here with the City of David and some taxes paid. But what we want to be able to look at is how we can start to do some things like creating some filters, sorting the sheet, and being able to do some formulas. So let me show you here first of all. I can actually organize my sheet in an ascending or descending order. So if you are used of Microsoft Excel, it's called ascending and descending in their formulas. Here in Google Sheets, it's called A to Z and Z to A. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be alphabetical. If I had a list of numbers, it would just simply sort them from smallest to biggest, biggest to smallest, same with alphabetical. So it's just sorting your sheet, but it maintains the whole row of information. It won't separate it for you. So what this looks like is, let's say I wanted to sort by name. When I hover over column A, I can see this little kind of pull down arrow, and one of them says sort sheet, A to Z. There, now everything has been organized according to name. Perhaps I want it organized according to city of birth. I can just sort the sheet, A to Z. Now it's moved that all around. Maybe I want to sort it according to number of family members. No problem. Now I can see that. So it is really nice just to be able to change that view and be able to see just in that kind of basic, quick at a glance order that you want to be able to do. A filter is different. A filter is an isolated view. So sorting the sheet still left all of the information right there in the sheet, but it just changed the order that I see it. A filter isolates the view. So imagine things going through the filter. I have all this information, but I only want to see this much right now. I can easily do that, but it doesn't affect my original data. So it's not like cutting and pasting. And that's my second pro tip today. If you're ever cutting and pasting in a Google Sheet, stop. As soon as you hit cut and paste, it's now dead data. It's no longer live. So whenever I have form responses, I can filter it, I can sort it, I can do all those things, but I'm never actually removing data, cutting and pasting data. I want my form responses to stay live. I will add extra tabs and extra sheets for things that I want to mess around with. So let's create a filter for this. So if I want to be able to create a filter, one of the things that I have to do is I want to be able to use my filter button. And as soon as I selected that column and I clicked that little filter button, which looks like a funnel, I can see this microscopic little 3-line filter show up on that column. And what I get to say is, well, how do I want to filter it? Maybe I only want to see the city of David. I don't want to see any of the other cities. And so I'm going to go uncheck all of those different pieces and I can say, okay. Now what's happened is it's simply a filter. It didn't delete anything. It just means very quickly I can see, oh, there we go. That's everything from the city of David. If I don't want that anymore, I can change that filter. I can simply say clear all of them. I can select all of them. The other thing that I can do is I can turn my filter exactly off and on. So I don't have to have that on anymore. I can turn my filter off and turn my filter on. My original data was never impacted. So let's look out now. We can make some formulas. In here, I have some assessment averages for the MTech team. And so I want to be able to look at some things like perhaps create some totals or perhaps create some averages. This is really easy to do with simple dragging, dropping formulas. We don't have to be mathematicians to do that. Thank goodness for Trish, because math wasn't always my strongest subject. So a couple things I want to do. I want to make this look really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert a column by right-clicking. I'm going to put one above. And I'm going to call this one my totals. Helps when you don't switch tabs by accident. So I'm going to have my formulas here and my scores, and I'm going to call this my totals. The next thing I'm going to make is a space for my average. All right, so what I want to do is I want to create that average. Let's create those totals first. What I'm simply going to do is if I want to just hit the equal sign, I'm going to be able to create a formula for this particular total. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to go ahead, I want to do a total. So I'm going to hit the equal sign. And look what it's already suggesting for me. I didn't even have to type anything. It's saying, would you like to do the sum of B2 to E2? Sure do. And then I hit enter. Now it's given me that sum right there. Now I can repeat that process again for you to see. Equals, would you like to do the sum of B3 to E3? Yes, I would. Now, you don't also have to keep typing this. Something that I can do whenever I select a cell and I hover my mouse to the bottom right-hand corner till I get the crosshairs, I can just drag that down. It's now going to drag down the formula that I just created to every one of those cells. Now, another thing you can do, if you just want a quick total, if I want a total of all these totals, if I just select all these cells, Notice in the bottom right-hand corner, it says sum of 840. It's giving you a quick sum. You could do a quick average, minimum, maximum, or count right there without even having to create a formula. Another thing I can do is average. So let's do this again. I want to know the average of B2 to E2. Again, I type equals, and I want to be able to look at the average. Now look, it's giving me the suggestion to go all the way to F2. I don't have to do that. I can simply come into here and I can edit that so it's E2. Now I've got my average. And again, I don't want to have to type that every time. I just take it, drag it down, and now I've got my totals instantly. So formulas are not scary, and in fact, they really save us a lot of time. Another thing I can do that's really handy is I can create some charts. So if I have these different assignments that I've created for my students and a variety of different scores that my students have gotten, one of the things I can do is create a visual chart. And that's really easy. I can say insert, chart. And what it's going to do is it's going to open me up a chart editor. It's going to allow me to change the different types of charts I want to do. So you can see the default here just gave me a scatter chart, but I can actually change from that suggested chart into anything that I want to be able to look at. And so it tries to use that sort of genius model to be able to look at, okay, what kind of data are you trying to gather? And so I can go in and I can add any different kind of chart that I want to. I can simply switch between that chart. It will let me know the different pieces, based on whichever one makes sense. I can look at those different ones there and it'll change it. I can look at how the students are doing. And this chart is a floating chart, so it doesn't have to sit here. I can completely move it around and place it where I want to in a sheet or have it on another sheet. And I can, of course, change what I want as headers, labels, the series, everything. So charts are really great. The last little formula I want to show you is inserting images. This is actually really fun and nice way to be able to label your different types of data and your charts. And so in here, it's just being able to put in a formula so that you can have an image of a URL. So for example, I have here the YouTube image and it's a clickable link. So I'm going to go ahead and find an image that I want to be able to put in here. Where you can see this is I made a Chutes and Ladders a Google Learning activity. It's going to find it with all my tabs open up here. And how I did this was a really great study game for some participants I had, where I had basically the task I wanted them to be able to do, and then they could scroll through and they can see the different images that go along with what it was. And it's just reloading here. And so the students could be able to see what type of thing I was trying to get them to work on. And then I, of course, had a tab for the answers. So now if they didn't know something, they could go ahead and watch a training video and they can click back and forth to the questions as well. So it was really handy to be able to make this for my students. And this is a great way, if you ever want this template, let me know. We've got some of our One World, One Center amazing ELL consultants that are also using this to create some study sets for PATs for students with some questions and some answers and being able to go back and forth just simply using a sheet. So I'm going to insert an image just with my image formula, just with a picture that I found online off of a Google image search. All right, so I did my Google image search and I found an image that was labeled for non-commercial reuse. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find that awesome little Creative Commons image here. And I'm going to just simply right click and I'm going to copy the image address. That's what I'm looking for here, image address. So now when I'm back in my sheet, I'm going to be able to insert this with the formula. So I'm going to type the formula that I have for you there, and it's an equal sign, and then I'm going to type the word image, and I can see it come up. It gives me the bracket. I'm going to type a quotation mark. I'm going to paste that image URL. Wow, it's really large. We'll see if this actually works. And I'm going to end with a quotation mark and a closed bracket. Didn't like that picture. Let's try another one. Gotta love when it doesn't work live. Okay, my computer's freaking out right now. I think I have too many tabs open. Let's try this again. We're right clicking on the image. We're choosing copy the image address, and let's look at that formula again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm simply going to hit my equal sign. I'm gonna start typing the word image. I can see there's the image formula. It opens up a bracket, quotation marks, paste the address of that image, quotation marks, close that bracket, boom, you've got yourself an image, and it automatically fits it into the size of the cell that you're trying to work on. And so if I was to change with my Awesome Box the size of my cells, my image would be able to change and be larger as well. So that's how we can change what that looks like. All right, so that's some of the basics. And don't worry if that seemed a little bit fast. Just know that we have some tutorials. I've got some animated GIFs and some instructions just posted below here for you. So the next thing I'm going to show you is a really amazing add-on. It's a teacher's favorite add-on called Row Call. And what it does was I have a sheet completely filled out with information, but now I need to split it up. I want you to imagine students signing up for junior high options, fun day activities. When I run events like a Google Summit or Women in Tech, how can I now have everybody organized onto individual sheets without having to cut and paste, because that just takes so much time. And so I'm going to show you one from, say, for example, junior high options. In this particular case, I had one here where my question was, what's your name, what grade are you in, and please sign up for an option. And so I filled this out for a few times here. And you can see these different options. And of course, I launched the sheet that goes with it. So when I look at this, this looks pretty easy. And what it's tempting to do is to now take this and copy it and paste it into another sheet. Don't do that. We're going to use an add-on called Row Call, and I've linked it for you below in this video. When I go here to my add-ons, I'm going to go ahead and run Row Call and say start. What I can have the option of doing is saying, how would I like to be able to organize this? So I want to organize my row call based on the options they pick. I'm going to sort it and update it. What it's going to do is it automatically generates tabs across the bottom of my sheet so that anybody that filled it out, notice it did not touch my original form responses. That data stays pure. But what it did was it filled out everybody who filled out all of those different options, it put it at the bottom. What's even better is that form is still live. So if I go in here and I go and fill it out again with somebody else who wasn't in here before, and she's going to select business, submit, I can keep doing this. I can add a few more responses. So this can be a live form based on your kids filling this out as they go. We'll just kind of keep going down here. What happens is that sheet is automatically updated. You don't have to rerun it. It will keep your original form responses all intact, and you're going to be able to have them be able to split into your roll call. So now you can see at the bottom, it added business, it added a few more people to my computer science, and my original form responses are still time-stamped in there. So roll call is definitely fantastic. And I know this has definitely helped me, not only for junior high options, but just being able to do things like session registration. We had hundreds of people sign up for Women in Tech Day, and I need to know what their first and second sessions are and be able to have a participant list for each. So I can simply go run my add-on for roll call, and what it'll do is I can now select that column that I want to be able to use. I want to see everybody who's going to be in session 2, or which one do you pick, and I can sort and update that, and it will create me those different sheets for me and split that all up. All right, the next thing I want to show you is conditional formatting. This really helps me if I want things to turn a specific color, like perhaps I want to do a spreadsheet and in my class I can say anybody that maybe got less than a 50%, it lights up a different color so I can see that at a glance. It's also really fun for something called pixel art, and this is where kids can actually just fill in cells in a sheet and it's colors. It's awesome. You can do things like creating your own mini Minecraft world, being able to create an image of different landscapes or areas like wetlands or parts of Canada. This is a really fun activity if you want to do some Mother's Day pixel art for this weekend for your kids to be able to create something awesome for mom. It's also great for graphing, charting, filling in things for kids. So I'm going to show you some examples that I have for you attached below, but then I'm going to show you how I made it with a simple process called conditional formatting. So you can see here I have a blank sheet and I can do something with conditional formatting, but another couple things I just want to show you is what that can look like if kids wanted to be able to play. So what I'm going to do is perhaps I want to be able to look at creating that conditional formatting. And so maybe I have a chart and I've got yes, no, yes. I can sort of see all these things going in here. So this is maybe some data that I have. What I can actually do is I can say, okay, for column A, I want to be able to do some conditional formatting for that data. What it basically means is if this happens, do this. So I'm saying for this range, if the cell is exactly yes, I want it to turn red. Notice how it's already changing live. And so this will continue to apply. If I type the word yes, it's just going to keep going. And anytime that I type that, or that it appears in a form, that conditional formatting applies to it. And that is as simple as it is. Now, what I've seen many people do is the same problem, or the same format, simply using pixel art. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use our awesome box to make ourselves be a little bit more square, so it can kind of look like those lovely little pixels. Make my square boxes here. Perfect. And now what I can do is I can assign some specific letters or colors. So I like to use the numbers down the side. So for example, this is going to be number 1. Well, if the text is exactly 1, I want it to turn red. But I also want the text to be red. I'm going to do both. And what I'm going to do is, instead of applying it just to that simple data range, I want to be able to apply this actually to everything on the cell, everything on the sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to format the whole sheet. So I'm going to add that rule and I'm going to say, okay, I want the whole thing, A to Z. If the text is exactly the number 1, I would like it to turn red, and I would like the text to turn red. Done. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to type the number 1 here so that it's a placeholder for that. Now kids can see if they type number 1, it will turn that color. I can do that as well for another rule, so I can add another rule. So I'm going to select my whole sheet. Once again, I'm going to add another rule. If the text is exactly, this time I'm going to say the number 2. Then I'm going to be able to go through and I'm going to have it turn blue, and I'm going to have the text be blue. Done. So over here, I just fill it in with the number 2 so kids can see that color. Now, what's going to happen is over here, if kids type the number 1, it's going to start turning red, and they can start to create some pictures. And you can see how I can keep going by creating that conditional formatting for students. So here we have a 20 color pixel art template from Eric Kurtz. And so what I can do is I can come over here, and he has it set up with the letters. So if I type the letter E, the lowercase e, it's going to create the colors. Anywhere in the sheet, I can do some drawing. There's also a place to be able to do some fraction work, as well as area, and a direction page for you. So it is a really fun way for students to be able to create some awesome art and be able to make sheets engaging and fun. All right, we've come to the last, and I've saved the best for last. I'm going to show you Flippity. Flippity is an amazing site that basically lets you take Google Sheets and make hangman, bingo, random name pickers, Jeopardy games. It's such a fun and interactive way to make learning great for kids. Flippities are fully embeddable on your Google site, or you can just share a link in your Google Classroom. They're super easy to make, and kids can make them too. So the next time they need to study for an exam, instead of handwriting out some flashcards, they can make a Flippity. So I'm going to show you what Flippity looks like. And what's also amazing is there's an add-on for Flippity, just saving you an extra little step if you're inside a sheet and you want to turn it into a Flippity template. So I'm going to show you flippity.net first. When you get to Flippity, these are all the different types of things that you can make free and easy. Do you have students working in social studies? They have to create a timeline? Yes. You want to be able to make some really fun poetry for Poetry Month? Love it. Typing test? Got it. Do a little word work for your centers? Look at all these different things you can do. Bingo, certificate of completions, all of these different pieces, even a badge tracker, simply by using a Google Sheet to be able to run it. And so we are going to use Flippity today. I'm going to do the random name picker Flippity just so that we can pick our prize winner. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the template because I already know the instructions for this one. I'm going to grab my template and it'll ask you to make a copy. Alternatively, what I can do is I can be inside of my Who Wants to Win form responses that I just had, and I can use the add-on, I can use Flippity, and I can get the URL for the template that I just chose. So I choose the Who Wants to Win random name picker right here. Now, I've got these names here. I'm just going to get rid of those. These are just default names. I'm going to go to my form responses, and I'm simply going to go ahead and select all these names. And I'm going to paste them right in here. Now, what's cool, if you want to put in a photo with that image little feature, you can absolutely do that as well. What I'm going to do though is now I need to be able to run this. Well, you simply do that with a link. And so if I'm going to go and I'm going to get my URL, I'm going to copy this. And now we can see that everybody has already been put in a lovely interactive online name generator simply because Flippity is awesome. So what are you going to win today? Well, get ready for some fun. Today I'm giving away one of my very favorite things, and it's a makey. This is how we can create interactive learning off of a Chromebook or a PC or a laptop. It doesn't matter. We can bring learning to life. And I have lots of different activities and tutorials to go along with this. So if you're a winner and you need a little bit of help, just let me know. I'm going to be giving away that makey, and I'm going to use my Flippity to choose it. All right, here we go. And the winner of the makey is... Dun, 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 dun. Kelsey Winte, you win! Congratulations! Thanks for watching our Google Forms episode yesterday, and you win yourself a makey. Now, I'm not done yet. I want to give away one more prize. I was really excited because I had one of your participants email me saying, thanks for the Google Slides episode. Check out the GIF I made from the GIF Maker add-on for slides using fractions and an alligator. So I got to show you what got sent to me. All right, so this came from Melanie Perry. Now, she shared it with me in a PDF format, but this is what she created in her slides. So I'll show it through so you can see what she was going to make with her GIF. And chomp! Yum! We've got fractions. So I really absolutely completely adore that she shared this with me. I think it's fantastic that you guys are watching these videos. If you do make something cool, please share it with me. Let me know. We can show it off to the rest of the world. But you, my friend, also win a makey. Thanks for participating in the fun. I love that this isn't just me sitting in my kitchen at night recording videos. So that's it for today. I hope you think that sheets are no longer part of the dark side. And tomorrow is my absolute most favorite Google tool on the entire planet. We're going to be geeking out with Google Drawings. So thanks for watching and see you guys tomorrow.